Now, whilst it's normal to feel sluggish after a long day or after strenuous activities, for some people being tired is more than just general tiredness, and those people generally suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome, ME or CFS. It's a serious long-term illness that affects many body systems, and often people with this illness suffer from severe fatigue and sleep problems. Dr. Laura Chella, as well as Rita Viviers, is here, and she is the founder of the ME CFS Foundation in South Africa, and they're in the loft to tell us more about the causes and treatments of chronic fatigue syndrome. Welcome to the show. Lovely to have you back, Doctor.
Thank you.
So let's start off with what exactly is ME? Like, how do you know if you've got it? If you're just like generally tired every day, is that kind of what chronic fatigue is?
Absolutely not. And that's often a misnomer, so I'm glad you brought it up. I think one of the most important things we need to realize is that patients who have ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis, have actually got a very debilitating disease. As you mentioned, it affects neurological, immune, and energy metabolism functions in the body. And one of the most important things you note in these patients is after exertion, they have what we call a post-exertional malaise. They are absolutely exhausted to the point that they cannot get up. And when we talk about exertion, I don't mean after they go for a run or they exercise. I mean, sometimes it's as difficult as when you go to make a cup of tea or to go get out of the bed to use the bathroom. Yeah. That kind of exertion can put them back in bed for hours or days.
Wow. I mean, when did you first notice that you had ME?
I had a big stomach operation, and then afterwards I realized my stamina was gone. And then I started with viruses, and then I went to various doctors and was diagnosed eventually with it, yes.
So you say you started getting other viruses because obviously your immune system is just gone. So then it's other things that actually make you sick as well.
Yes, yes.
Now, how treatable is this?
It's a very difficult illness to treat, and I think one of the main problems is that there hasn't been any formalized test as yet. Yeah. So in the States, about 2 weeks ago, one of the professors have just identified a biomarker that they're going to start rolling out and testing further, and hopefully that will be the beginning of the testing that we can use on patients to actually identify who does have ME CFS as opposed to another illness. So the difficulty is actually getting a diagnosis. So you have to go through often many doctors, many different blood tests, because often they all come out absolutely negative and fine.
Yeah. I was looking at the stats actually, and so many people have it and don't know that they do.
Correct.
So then at what point do you get to in your own life when you realize, okay, this isn't okay?
I think it's the debilitation. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
You know, we're talking about some patients that you can't work anymore, Jeannie. You almost
have to stop working.
You stopped working?
Yeah, had to, yeah.
Would you just wake up like, I'm trying to see how, like, sometimes, I feel a little bit sluggish, so, and everybody at home is going to be, like, self-diagnosing now.
Yeah, no.
So to what point can you literally just not, like, how bad can it get?
Look, it varies. There's a spectrum from being able to work a little bit, so being tube-fed, and die. There's really a spectrum. And it can be so bad that you can't really work because your brain capacity, your cognitive functionality, that deteriorates. You get weak, very weak, no stamina, sleep problems. So, you know, you realize something is so bad that you can't function anymore. Nothing helps. No coffee, no caffeine, nothing helps. You just cannot function anymore.
I can imagine that it's quite an unknown, well, I think a lot of people, very few people know about it.
Correct.
Is that why you started the foundation?
Yes.
Just because I think it must be quite frustrating trying to explain that I'm not just tired, I'm like...
Yes. I started a Facebook group, a support group, and then I realized and saw all these other people with the same needs I have. Isolation, you know, you start getting poor because you lose your job, all those type of things. Being stigmatized. And then I realized something formally had to be done. And that's when we started the foundation, yes.
So, like, just coffee and stuff, so how much medication and what kind of treatments are available? Because I can imagine something like exercise would be too exhausting. But then does diet have to change? And then, because I'm sure you wouldn't want to take so many pills.
So exercise is not recommended in patients with ME, okay, because of the post-exertional fatigue and malaise that they get. Because the cause of ME is not always understood, and because in many patients there are many different causes. So each patient will have to have an individualized, tailored treatment. There is no one shoe fits all. There is no magic cure for it. You know, from a personal perspective with my patients, it's a multidisciplinary, multifaceted approach that you have to use for each patient and individually tailor it.
Does it fall into the autoimmune categories? Like, was one of the autoimmune?
It's not classified as an autoimmune as yet, no, because we don't understand necessarily, you know, enough about it, but who knows in time to come.
That's so scary, because there's so many different people can get it from so many different things. Correct. I really hope that we can find out more about this, and thank you so much for sharing your story on the show.
Thank you very much.